Hello, and welcome to today's webinar. Today we are going to unlock the power of social media by looking at hashtags and content calendars, the two different subjects. So after today's webinar, you are going to know how to use a hashtag and how they can help you boost your reach. And you are also going to be able to use our 3-step content and scheduling plan. So thank you so much for joining us today. So let's first talk about hashtag. You might have heard that it's no longer the main growth driver on Instagram. Reels and engaging content now is more important, but hashtag still helps to discover and you should still use them. So you need to know what they are and how they work. So when you open up your Instagram and click on that little magnifying glass in Instagram, you can search for hashtags. And you put down a hashtag and the word. So let's say that you are looking for a wedding photographer in Jacksonville. So if you put down hashtag Jacksonville wedding photographer, you are going to get a beautiful screen with lots of photos from photographers. And so any photographer that put up their content and use that hashtag Jacksonville wedding photographer is going to show up. And then you can dig in and look at the different ones and see what they are doing. You might have to search your way and try different hashtags, but the more specific you are, because if you only say wedding, you're going to get millions and it's not going to give you a photographer in Jacksonville. Or you can say Jacksonville photographer, then you get people that are photographer but might not wedding photographer. So you search yourself a little bit and then you're going to be able to find. So let's get started. And Chloe, take it away.
A hashtag is a word or phrase preceded by the pound symbol. It was first used in 2007 by a guy named Chris Messina, who suggested that Twitter users employ it as a way to group related tweets together. This was the first tweet ever used, by the way, or the first tweet ever, by the way. And on social media, it serves as an indication for users and algorithms that a piece of content relates to a specific topic or belongs to a category. Hashtags are how social media content connects to a specific topic, event, theme, or conversation. The magic of hashtags is that they make content discoverable, which helps you reach more people. So let's get into some hashtag basics. Hashtags always start with the pound symbol. You can use any combination of letters, words, or numbers, but they won't work if you use spaces, punctuation, or symbols. Hashtags are not case sensitive. Here's an example from a client, the Health Up Institute of Functional Medicine Practice. The first tag we used here is hashtag breast cancer awareness. Since it's a multi-word phrase, we've chosen to capitalize the first letter of each word. We could have used all lowercase as they are still the same hashtag and group exactly the same. But all lowercase is a more traditional way to go, but we recommend using the capital letters to improve readability. So either is fine, but you want to be consistent in the way you use it. So if you have 5 hashtags, make sure you either capitalize the first letter of each word on all of them or make them all lowercase. So a hashtag is different from tagging another person, business, or account, which is done using the @ symbol. For this post, we use the hashtag breast cancer awareness to group it with related posts about this topic. If we were working with the National Breast Cancer Foundation, we also could have used the @ symbol and tagged that organization's Facebook page. Hashtags and tagging, even though they are 2 separate things, can work together. So this segues perfectly into our next topic. First, hashtags can help You increase engagement with your followers. Including hashtags in your posts means taking part in a conversation happening on that social media platform and making your posts and organization visible in that conversation. This boosts your brand's social media engagement through likes, comments, and shares. Second, and likely the one you're most interested in, is using hashtags can help you gain more followers. Let's look at an example. One of our clients, Waves for Power, is an international green company producing green energy from ocean waves. You might not be following them on Instagram, but if you were interested in renewable energy and followed hashtag green energy or hashtag clean energy, then you would have seen this post in your feed perhaps and visited their page and started following them. Using hashtags is a great way to organically expand your reach without having to constantly invest advertising dollars. Hashtags also help build brand awareness. They help people know what your brand is about, make it more memorable, and make it easier to connect. One way is through your very own branded hashtag, which I'll talk about more in detail in a minute. Finally, hashtags can make your organization more relevant by showing support for social issues. Just because you own a successful plumbing empire doesn't mean every post should be about plungers. You can use hashtags to show support for important causes, be it national or local. So hopefully you're seeing some benefits to hashtags, or at least interested in how they can help you. But there are several different types of hashtags, each with its own purpose. So there are branded hashtags, a word or phrase that you select that best represents your brand, business, organization, which you use consistently across your social media platforms. In addition, sometimes you may want hashtags for short-term use. These are often specific to an event or a campaign and are great for user-generated content. Say you're hosting an annual fundraiser event like a company golf tournament, corporate retreat, or maybe a big customer seminar. Whatever the case, it's a really great idea to ask the attendees to post a picture of the event using whatever the hashtag you've chosen for that event is. With an event hashtag, you don't have to be personally following everyone in the room to see the event's content. If they share it with the special hashtag you've designated, it is grouped together and now available to everyone if they were to search on that hashtag or click on that hashtag. Another good use would be for a contest or short-term campaign. Charmin was one of the first brands to embrace the potty humor and launched Tweet from the Seat contest a few years back, in which they asked users to do just that. It was wildly successful. Turns out people felt like kings and queens sitting on their thrones. So for everyday use, you're also going to need some related hashtags. These are words or phrases that are not specific to your organization, as with the branded variety, but are related to your business in some way. They could be your industry, location, products and services, or any keywords or phrases that might help someone connect with you. Since a branded hashtag is going to be custom for your organization, you want to put some thought and effort into it. So let's talk for a second about what makes a good branded hashtag. The best ones tend to be relatively short. You don't want to string too many words together. If the name of your law firm is Baker, Brown, Davis, and Johnson, please don't make your hashtag Baker, Brown, Davis, and Johnson firm. Go for something shorter like Chicago Family Law. You also want your hashtag to be memorable. If you've been to a wedding in the past decade, you've probably seen fun, catchy hashtags like two peas in a dot or let the James begin. It doesn't have to be clever, but you do want to stand out in a good way. A good hashtag is easy to spell. Be careful of the letter O and zero, as people tend to mix them up. Also, lowercase l's and uppercase i's look alike. So try to avoid double consonants like two n's in a row, and avoid words that are easily misspelled. Finally, you want to ensure that your branded hashtag is not easily confused with non-related content. We encourage you to not use acronyms, as we can almost guarantee some other organization in another industry is or will use that same acronym, and you may not want to be associated with them. So do a keyword search on Google, see what you come up with. Teens today have all sorts of new and creative uses for language that you may be unaware of. So with a little diligence up front, you can typically avoid being lumped in with undesirable content. So with that in mind, you're thinking, how do I find these related hashtags? Do I make them up? Is there a list? Where do I start? To find hashtags that are relevant to your brand, your industry, and your audience, you'll have to do a little research. The best place to start is by monitoring your competitors and any social media influencers who cover your industry. We call this a competitive analysis. Make note of which hashtags they use most often and how many hashtags they use in each of their posts. This will help you learn how your competitors are engaging with your shared target audience. Next, you want to explore hashtag recommendations. Social media platforms are generally pretty good about giving suggestions. On LinkedIn, when you click a hashtag, you can find more hashtag recommendations. Just click on the ellipses, the three little dots in the top right, and then choose discover more hashtags. On Facebook posts, simply start typing the first hashtag that's relevant to your post. Facebook will recognize the hashtag and recommend other related and trending Facebook hashtags for you to consider. There are a number of hashtag tools on the web that you can try. Hashtagify Me lets you search hashtags to see how popular they are overall recently and the trends for the month and the week. Right Tag is a service that lets you input your social media caption and photo, and it uses AI to generate hashtag suggestions based on your content. Finally, you want to keep track of the hashtags you use and analyze them. If you're a recruiter, you might find that hashtag job search gets better results than hashtag careers, and you can pivot to using that more often, but it has to be something you track.
Yeah, and when we do this webinar, we very often get the questions. So how do I lock in a hashtag so it's only mine? And you cannot. Hashtags, you cannot take one and have it like a domain name or similar. Anyone can use any kind of hashtags. So therefore, just as Chloe has talked about, it's important to take something that stands out and is relatable to your industry, but also you really have to take a look at what others are using that. So it's when someone is searching on that hashtag because they see it on yours, that things pop up that you absolutely don't want to be related to.
And one of the things we do for each of our clients is put together a branding board. This pulls together logo variations, the fonts, the color scheme, and all the brand descriptors in one place, a sort of cheat sheet. So you'll see that the hashtags we researched are included on this as well. It's an important part of the social media process, so we include them for every social media client. And we have a good list of hashtags here. We don't recommend to use all of these on a single post, but to pick and choose which ones you'll use on related posts. So now that we've talked through the hashtag basics, we'll cover how and where to use them. We used to recommend 10 to 15 hashtags for Instagram, but now we recommend 3 to 5. Take care to not just copy and paste and use the exact same group of hashtags on every post. You want to rotate them a bit and pick hashtags that are relevant to your content. If you can tie into a hashtag that's trending, great, but don't use it in totally unrelated content. Just because hashtag Taylor Swift engagement is trending doesn't mean you should use that in a post about your spring festival. Some hashtags like hashtag follow me or hashtag like for like, these may make you look like a spammer and could get you flagged or banned. So make sure it's relevant. And on Instagram specifically, we recommend you group your hashtags after the caption. So don't sprinkle them throughout the caption. It just looks a bit cleaner on Instagram specifically. Use the search bar to find hashtags. They are clickable. So if you come across an interesting hashtag, you can click to see the feed. Make sure your branded hashtag is in your bio, and definitely use the Instagram page to see how many users saw your post because of your hashtag. On X, you want to be more conservative. We recommend no more than 2. Here you can use hashtags anywhere in your tweet, and because they count toward the character limit, we encourage you to do so. So instead of putting them at the end of the caption, try to work them into the caption. Hashtags can also be used in comments, replies, and retweets. There's a lot of ways to find hashtags on X. We've listed a few on the screen, so we encourage you to give these a try. For Facebook, hashtags work on personal profiles, business pages, events, and comments. Limit hashtags to 2 or 3. They can appear in any part of the post as well. On Any Facebook post, you can use the search bar or click on the hashtag to get redirected to its feed. Every hashtag also has its unique URL. So in the example here, it would be facebook.com/hashtag/flag football. Hashtags are also really useful in private groups. Hopefully your organization is using them to organize content. LinkedIn is a great platform for hashtags. People are specifically using it for networking. The key here is to keep it professional. On LinkedIn, you want to be seen as an industry expert and source of valuable, trustworthy information. So this is the last place you want to use cutesy or spammy hashtags. Keep it to no more than 3, and they can be used anywhere in the post as well. LinkedIn will suggest hashtags as you type, but you can also use the search bar or check out trending hashtags. Finally, YouTube, we could spend hours talking about this, and hashtags aren't the only way to get your video seen, but the basics are use hashtags in the video description or in the title. The first 3 is the magic number. You can see above in the video title where the top red arrow is pointing. On the bottom in the search bar where the other red arrow is pointing is where you can find hashtags, and you can also click on hyperlinks to see the full feed. Caution, YouTube is serious about spammers. Content with more than 15 hashtags will likely be flagged. So pick your best 3 and you'll have great results using hashtags that help make your content discoverable on YouTube.
Okay, so now we're going to jump into the next section of here, and that's how you plan for success. Because you probably heard that you should be posting on social media a lot, and but the question is what, when, and how often. And creating a content calendar will really help you stay on your message, plan ahead, and create efficiency by scheduling posts in advance. So today we are going to show you the guide that how we are creating this here in Easy Marketing. We start by creating an editorial calendar where we identify everything, and then we use some of this. Then we use tools to get them posted, so we don't do that in real time. So when we think about putting together a content calendar, it is important to know why. If you are the sort that are just winging it when you have time, then you are in trouble when you get really busy. So the answer to do all of this is to do intentional social media, because that is the most efficient social media and that is the best. Because when you are intentional of what you are putting in your channels and when you do it and how you do it, it will make your efforts much more successful. And because you're going to do batch work here, you will be so much more efficient and save you a tons of time and effort on the way. So here is our 3-step plan. We encourage you to identify your focus area in an editorial calendar. This is your vision board. This is your big ideas, the big topics. And then we use an editorial, then we use a content calendar where we plan out per month. And then finally, we make sure that when all of this is done, you save yourself time in the process by scheduling the majority of your posts in advance with automation tools. So let's go into this. The first step in our plan is the editorial calendar. It's something like you do on an annual basis to align your marketing goals with your business goals. Think about it as a year at a glance. It's basically a high-level overview over the things you want to focus on this year and generate a time frame for each of them. I know it's May right now, but it's not too late to do it, and you can always do it. You can start at any time. And how you break things down will depend on your industry. But I will give you a few examples here so get your wheels turning. For many organizations, it's common to have different themes for each different month. So if you are an engineering company like this example here, you might dedicate your social media post in January to winter maintenance for oceanfront properties. If you are a tax professional, you might devote April to income tax filings and December to last minute deductions. And if you're a nonprofit, you might work around your big fundraiser ideas. But the important thing here is to start with the year, a calendar, and you just fill out the information. And to give more detailed information, I'm actually going to show you what we did last year. So this is our editorial calendar here at Easy Marketing for last year. So we start by looking at the year focus, what we were going to focus on last year for our own marketing, and it was the webinars, and you are here, social media packages that we sell, how to content, and then expand on LinkedIn. That was our goals. We already have things set, what our publishing days are. In our industry, that is business to business. It is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday between 9:30 and 3:30. And here are the platforms we are working on. And then we also have a couple of other big projects. So we just line those up. Then we look at each month. So we start each month here with putting in important dates. It could be regular holidays like Easter or Father's Day or Mother's Day, but it could also be hashtag days. Like in May, last year it was National Password Day on May 4th. So we made sure that we had social media already planned on that. And the next thing was more content that we wanted to have that aligned with the yearly goal we had up top. And then at the bottom, we said, what are the other things we're going to do? So like for each month, we create a content calendar ideas. So if you are following us on our website or subscribe to our newsletter once a month, you're going to get a full sheet of ideas for the upcoming month. So that's how we are creating our big pictures. And after that, we are using scheduling tools to get the post up and running. Because you need to know date and time, you need to know the social media channels you're going to post things on. You need a caption, most likely with a call to action. You need some photos or graphics. And if you have call to action, there will most likely will be a link. Those are the things you need when it comes to scheduling out your content. And you can use all kind of softwares to this. My favorite here is the Google Calendar because it's free and it is a great option. And if you use Google Calendar, but you can also do this if you use an Outlook calendar, you can create a new calendar. So in this case, we have created a calendar for one of our past clients where we started with putting out the most important dates for this was October 2021. And then in addition, we added for this soccer club important dates for them. So those were things like fall season practice begins, uniform ordering deadline, fall session games begin. So we just created this big content that was important. And the next thing that was happening was that we put in what kind of content. So being a visual person, we assigned different colors for different topics. For example, the uniforms are blue, the game schedule posts are green, and registrations are red. So we sprinkle those out in the calendar and made sure. And then finally, we filled out content around those social media posts with something we call evergreen content. And they are shown here in purple. Those are posts that work anytime, like coaching training or for recertification. Other months it might be volunteer spotlights or recruiting content. They can go more or less at any time. And then when we have all of this set up and a month planned, then come the work to populate things. So with everything, as we said before, you need the content, the text, usually with a call to action. You need an image, and very often you need a link to go for your call to action. For example, where to go to sign up for registration and so on. So we created and put that all into this calendar. And then the next work was to schedule things in advance. If you are using Constant Contact, the email marketing program, and are using that also has a scheduling function. So you can go in and set up your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram post in there, and it will schedule it together. And you can also, of course, schedule your email address. The Meta Business Suite, you can do that yourself, even though that only takes care of Facebook and Instagram. Social Pilot is the one we are using, but we have tons and tons of clients. So I think I have 30, 40 different posts that goes out on different platforms for different clients. So we pay quite a bit for this, but we find this be a very good tool. But the more common one is Hootsuite and Buffer. So they also work really well. And I think we are running out of time in here, but it is, I have a couple of slides, and those slides will show up in the recording. So if you want to go back and look at this more closely, you can. But this is showing Constant Contact, how you can set up and get things in both social media and your email marketing. But Meta Business Suite is as well, where you set up, and it's a really good way here in Meta Business Suite to go back and look at the statistics that we recommend. You can always go back and you can see how the interaction where your posts were. So this is your to-do now. And sit down, take yourself a few hours to establish an editorial calendar for an upcoming year. And then using this as a guide, create a content calendar for the upcoming month. And remember to vary your content, repurpose content from your website, your blog, your newsletter, and even relevant outside content such as industry news. And then finally, make sure that it gets done by scheduling the majority of your post in advance using Constant Contact, Meta Business, or any of the tools we just showed.